Hello, listeners. I'm Dave Ulrich. Welcome to my office. I'm so delighted today to be part of the CHRO Mindset podcast and welcome you to the discussion.
Hello and welcome everyone to the season 3 of the CHRO Mindset podcast. And let me tell you, today's episode is not just another episode, it's a masterclass. Because today we are joined by the person who quite literally shaped the field of modern HR, a global icon, the father of HR business partner model, and the North Star for countless CHROs across the world, Professor Dave Ulrich. If you are in HR and you are thinking about legacy, strategy, or global leadership, this conversation is your moment. I know Professor Ulrich doesn't need any introduction, but I would still go ahead and give a little sound bites of what he has accomplished in his awesome career. Dave Ulrich is the Rensis Likert Professor at the Ross School of Business, University of Michigan, and a partner at the RBL Group. Widely regarded as the father of modern HR, he has published 30 plus books and 200 plus articles, spoken in 90 countries, and worked with over half of the Fortune 200. He has reshaped thinking in three major domains: organization, where he pioneered the idea that organizational capability drives results more than individual talent, with landmark works like Victory Through Organization and Reinventing the Organization. Second domain, leadership. He has developed frameworks like the Leadership Code and the Leadership Brand, thinking leadership to customer impact and market value. And lastly, human resources, where he has spearheaded transformation of the HR profession through books like HR Champions and HR from the Outside In. Professor Ulrich has received numerous honors, including Thinkers 50 Hall of Fame inductee, multiple Lifetime Achievements Award from SHRM, ASTD, and more. And he has also received the Patron of Dave Ulrich HR Excellence Award from IIS WBM. With over 350,000 LinkedIn followers, 3.3 million views in 2024, and 220K plus newsletter subscribers. His weekly insights reach a global HR audience. He continues to shape the future of work by helping HR leaders deliver stakeholder value through human capability, which is talent, organization, leadership, and HR. Dave, it's an absolute privilege and honor to have you on the CHRO Mindset podcast. Warm welcome to you.
Pulika, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. When you read that, it makes me tired. So thank you for the privilege of joining you and our listeners.
Thank you so very much. For me, I must say it's a moment which I'm going to remember because rarely does it happen so such that one gets to speak to a legendary like you. So thank you so very much for joining us so early your morning today on the podcast. Uh, so before I go any further with my list of questions, right, I want to make sure that our audience is aware of what we're going to discuss today, right? So the topic of today's podcast is next generation HR leadership, built for business, wired for impact, right? And I'm going to walk you through what we're going to cover today. So if you look at the present times, the role of CHRO is undergoing a seismic shift. It's no longer just about HR operations, it's also about shaping the future of business globally and strategically. But what does it truly take to lead HR at that level? In today's episode, we'll decode the capabilities that define tomorrow's CHROs. We'll explore what it means to build a global HR legacy, how CHROs can move from partnership to transformation, and why strategy, identity, and influence matter more than ever. We'll also dive into the purpose behind the Global HR Leadership Experience Program that Professor Dave Ulrich is involved in, what gaps it addresses in the current HR leadership landscape, why legacy building is a missing link in HR careers, and how that program aims to prepare HRs not just to lead departments, but to help lead companies. So if you are an HR professional ready to elevate your influence, think globally, and future proof your leadership, this conversation is a masterclass in what it takes. So, with that, let me get started. Dave, are going to sort of break this into four sections, right? When I go about asking you questions. The first section is why HR leadership needs reinvention. Second section will cover strategic thinking and business impact. The third one is going to be around global mindset and cross cultural readiness. And lastly, we'll talk about leadership capabilities and capability building. So with that long monologue, apologies for that, right? I don't want to stay for long between all our listeners and Professor Ulrich. So let me get started with my very first question. Question for you, Dave. What is fundamentally broken or missing in how we currently groom global HR leaders. Would love to understand your take on this.
I don't think anything's broken.
Okay.
I think we've built HR based on the outside circumstance that we face. Everyone acknowledges the world is changing so rapidly.
Yeah.
We see that being fueled by technology, AI, AI, AI. We have to say AI. And when things change outside, we have to adapt inside. And so I'm not, I have great confidence that HR has done a great job. But there's a concept called inflection point. It comes out of technology decades ago from Intel.
Yeah.
When there are things facing your organization, you either move up, you inflect up, or you inflect down. I
Mm-hmm.
think because of technology, because of economic conditions, social conditions, uh, toxicity around the world, demographic conditions, we are at some inflection points in the HR space. So it's not that
Mm-hmm.
it's broken. I
Okay.
uh, I have a bias. A lot of prophets love to look back and say, if you don't repent, you're going to go to hell. Others look
Mm-hmm.
forward and say, I can see what heaven looks like. Let's go together. I'm of the second view.
Mm-hmm.
I see people saying HR is broken, is terrible looking back. I don't go there. HR
Mm-hmm.
has been great for what it's done, but it's now time to go forward and to find a new way to think about what can and should be done.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Love that take. So, now sort of taking that conversation ahead, right? While you say that it's not broken, but I think it's at an inflection point, and sort of if I were to sort of compare that with how Intel was looking at it in hindsight, right? Are there any signals that you pick up from today's business world that convince you that we need a new kind of HR leadership model, or we need to sort of fine tune that given the inflection point that we are currently in?
It's a fairly simple idea that in the
Mm-hmm.
business world today, you compete by having an advantage.
Yeah.
And a competitive advantage is two things. One, something a customer values.
Yeah.
If I do something and a customer doesn't buy it, then there's no value. And
Yeah.
two, doing that in a unique way. Well, we know
Mm-hmm.
that customer value becomes critical. And then, second, what's unique? Well, there are
Mm-hmm.
traditionally some sources of uniqueness. I can manage my costs better than somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I sell a product cheaper.
Yeah.
Guess what? People are matching cost. We can
Yeah.
match costs very quickly, especially in an AI world. I
Yeah.
have a product or feature nobody else has. So I create a product or a feature that nobody else has. Well, in today's world, that doesn't last very long.
Mm-hmm.
I have an operational system. Technology is an enabler, my operating system. But because of AI, we're replicating quickly. What's
Mm-hmm.
distinct? What's distinct? Organization, people, culture. I
Mm.
can't replicate people.
Yeah.
I can't replicate the culture. And so those become something a customer values and they differentiate us in the marketplace.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think it's that DNA, a unique DNA which cannot be replicated, right? I mean, you can apply the best of the tools out there, and it's very easy to replicate, like you said. But it's the fabric, right, of people that exist in an organization, which is really difficult to copy, and that's what it makes incredible. Understood. Now let's pivot to the GHRLE program, right? That you have been advocating for. Please talk to us. What gap does GHRLE aim to fill in? How we develop HR leaders for a global context in view of what you just said?
When we think about that inflection point, we think there are
Yeah.
two or three that come to mind.
Okay.
One is HR is not about HR,
Mm-hmm.
it's about being successful in the marketplace. And so that changes the way we think about HR. We don't go into a meeting and say, I'm from HR, I've got a training program, I've got a compensation program, I've got
Yeah.
a communication program. We go into a meeting and we say, I'm here to help create more revenue from our best customers
Yeah.
or to find new customers. I'm here
Mm-hmm.
to get a better share price or a lower cost of capital. I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
build a community reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And executives look at us and say, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to do that because of our training, our staffing, our compensation. So HR is about building that shareholder or not shareholder, but stakeholder value in a very real way. That's one
Mm-hmm.
inflection point. Number two is how do we do that? And
Mm-hmm.
I often go to my colleagues in HR and say, so when you are asked to contribute value, what do? I build people. I'm the human function. I build workforce. I build labor. I build employees. And my answer is true, true, true. And you also build organization culture.
Hmm. Hmm.
People are the core ingredients of a recipe, but the culture brings those ingredients together and
Hmm.
allows us to create something wonderful.
Hmm.
I happen to like cookies. It's obvious I like cookies more pulu, uh, pulicat than you do. I'm bigger than you. The ingredients of cookies are flour, sugar,
Yeah.
vanilla, baking soda. They're good. Without
Yeah.
good ingredients, you don't have good cookies.
Yeah.
But when they come together, they create a great cookie. Now that's a very simple example. In any sport, the key success is not just the individual player, it's the team.
Yeah.
And the thing that brings them together is leadership. So when
Hmm.
I go into a company and I or work with the HR professionals, I say number one, inflection point, we're here to create value for our stakeholders,
Hmm.
our customers, our investors, our employees, our communities.
Hmm.
Two, through what I'm calling human capability.
Hmm.
Human is the individual, capability is the organization, and
Hmm.
leadership.
Hmm.
With that in mind, how do we develop the next generation HR leaders
Hmm.
so that they have not only great technical skills,
Hmm.
but number one, the ability to link those skills to the value they create for the stakeholders,
Hmm.
and number
Hmm.
two, by being the best they can be in talent, leadership, and organization. So with incredible colleagues, Dick Beatty, um, Pat Wright, and others, we
Hmm.
took a clean sheet of paper and we
Hmm.
said, if we had a clean sheet of paper, absolutely nothing on it, and said, what could we do to build a development experience that would help next generation HR leaders? You may be a CHRO today, or you're on the path, or you may not be the next CHRO, but you're going to
Hmm.
be an HR leader.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
created a 100-day learning experience. It's called Global HR Learning or Global HR Leadership
Hmm.
Experience.
Hmm.
We are so excited. We have, I think, the most exciting program that you could put together.
Hmm.
We've gone to the 6 major heads of the major HR organizations in the world, including Dr. T.V. Rao, the
Yeah.
founder of NHRD. We have PetChem, World Federation of People Management. We have the leading HR associations in the world. All 6 of them are going to join us. We have
Awesome.
CHROs who've been CHRO in 30 companies around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
We have faculty who've authored over 100 books.
Yeah.
We have, I think, incredible faculty. And
Yeah.
now we're looking to get incredible participants who want to rise to the opportunity of what HR can become.
Amazing, amazing. This really fascinates me, and to me, it seems like a movement, right? It's not just a program. From what I just heard from you, right? It's there's an army of people out there, right, who are rallying behind you to sort of bring this larger purpose to life, and this is. Extremely exciting, and I'm hoping that people would actually leverage as much as possible from this program. If I were to sort of look at it from a shareholder value perspective, which you brought out at the very start, do you think that HR as a function is evolving from creating value to co-creating future readiness?
No question. One of the things we've learned in companies that are publicly traded, stock price,
Yeah.
there's something called intangibles.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 firms in the same industry earn 100.
Mm-hmm.
Will the stock price be the same? And the answer is
Hmm.
no. It may vary
Hmm.
as much as 40 to 50%.
Hmm.
Why? An intangible is the confidence that an executive has or that an investor has in the future. Well, where does that confidence come from? It comes from your
Hmm.
predictable financial earnings. Did you make the money you promised? It comes from your strategic intent. Do you
Hmm.
have a strategy that differentiates you? And it
Hmm.
comes from your human capability, talent, organization, leadership. In fact,
Hmm.
we tested it.
Hmm.
Intangibles, 35 to 40% are based on financial discipline. You have to make
Okay.
your numbers, you have to meet your goals.
Yeah.
30
Absolutely.
to 35% are based on strategic intention and direction, and 25 to 30% are based on human capability. And
Okay.
so if you're in HR, here's my question to you. You're a CHRO, you're in HR, you're trying to become better. How do you help your investors have more confidence in your future because of your talent, your organization, and your leadership?
Yeah.
If you can build that,
Yeah.
your market value goes up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think which leads me to my next question, right? Because from what I understood, one third of we spoke of the intangibles, the strategic, and the other aspect, right? So uh, many a times, we witness this in the HR ecosystem. Uh, they struggle at becoming a P&L leader or a profit and loss leader, as they usually say, right? So, in your opinion, why do CHROs stop short of influencing P&L? Even when they sit at the top table. And of course, there are few unfortunate ones, right, who don't get a seat in the table or a voice in the boardroom. But where are they failing if some of them are?
Let me let me answer that in two different ways. First of all,
Sure.
the human capability, and I
Yeah.
use that word carefully, talent, organization, leadership, those issues are at the table. They're being
Hmm.
talked about at the board. They're being talked about in executive meetings because most business leaders recognize that without talent, organization, and leadership, we're not going to deliver our strategy. We're not going to meet our financial goals. We're not going to serve
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah.
The question then becomes who's facilitating and leading those discussions? It should be
Hmm.
HR. It should be
Hmm.
HR. And
Hmm.
in most places, I think HR people are willing to do it. Sometimes I think there is a legacy stereotype that's dysfunctional. I
Hmm.
went into HR because I like people.
Hmm.
My wife's a
Hmm.
psychologist, and she
Okay.
says, "Oh, I have her picture, you can see." And she says, "I went into psychology because I like people." Then she became a psychologist. She said, "A lot of the people I meet with are not very likable. They've got a lot of challenges, and I've still got to like them.
Yeah.
But what I love is helping them resolve those challenges so they live a better life." And she's very committed to that. I
Hmm.
think that's HR. I do
Hmm.
like people. I also like organizations and leadership, talent, organization, leadership. I'm going to keep harping on that. But I like building companies that succeed in the marketplace. So
Hmm.
here's an exercise. What's the best thing that an HR professional can give a company?
Hmm.
Very simple exercise. A, belief, sense of
Hmm.
values. B, belong, a community. C, be safe, psychological, emotional safety.
Yeah.
D, believe, become, belong, be safe. Believe, become, belong, be safe. All the above or none of the above.
Hmm.
What's the best thing you can give an organization? Believe, become, belong, be safe.
Yeah.
All the above or none of the above. And
Hmm.
everybody answers all the above.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's wrong. And it's wrong. The best thing we in HR, and I join those listening, the best thing we can give a company
Yeah.
is number 6, an organization that succeeds in the marketplace.
Hmm.
Let me say that again. If your company doesn't succeed in the marketplace, there is no workplace. There's
Yeah.
no believe, become, belong, be safe. There's not any of that.
Yeah.
We've got to succeed in the marketplace. That's that first inflection point. HR
Hmm.
is less about HR than it is about serving customers and investors and communities. And when we get that mindset,
Hmm.
we change the way we approach our job. We are
Hmm.
doing great HR work
Hmm.
so that a customer has a better experience and buys a product. An investor has a better experience and increases that intangible price earnings ratio. A
Yeah.
community has a better reputation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we then build value. That's that's a mindset that I think is an inflection point. It's an exciting one, and it's what we're trying to build this GHRLE program around.
Hmm.
That we give HR leaders, the next generation, a new way to think about how to become valuable for them. Now,
Hmm.
why do HR people not do that today?
Hmm.
I think sometimes people went into HR for social agendas.
Hmm.
Bless them, that's great. But the
Hmm.
best thing you can give an employee is not a social agenda, but it's coupled with an economic agenda.
Hmm.
Because without success in the marketplace, there won't be a workplace.
Absolutely true.
I have to add, one of my friends says, "Dave, that's all about greed. It's about wealth. It's about capitalism."
Yeah.
No, you didn't hear what I said.
Yeah.
This isn't economic greed. This is success in the marketplace with all
Yeah.
stakeholders,
Yeah.
conscious capitalism. It's customers, investors, communities. It's the stakeholders that we're trying to serve, not just a single shareholder with horrible and unfettered capitalism.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and I love that phrase, conscious capitalism, right? I think at the end of the day, it has to be sustainable, right? And loved, the framework that you brought out: belief, belong, and be safe. But my next question for you is, uh, at the end of the day, like, an organization has to survive, a workplace has to survive, right? Of course there are financial implications to it. If an HR leader has to really influence the board out there, uh, what separates the HR leaders who speak the language of business from those who shape its future?
First of all, it's so helpful. How many languages do you speak?
I am good at two, Hindi and English.
Good. I speak very bad French.
Okay.
J'habitais à Montréal pour 3 ans, et j'ai dû parler en français un peu. Here's what I discovered. I am not 100% fluent in French, but I can get
Mm-hmm.
by. I can
Mm-hmm.
I can I can eat, I can live, I can get by. And I just
Yeah.
spoke French, which if a French person would recognize I'm not 100% fluent.
Mm-hmm.
The language of business is finance. It's the language of business. You have to know the
Mm.
numbers, you have to know the cost of
Yes.
capital, you have to know where money comes from, how we make money, how we spend money. You have to be able to read an income statement and balance sheet.
Mm. Mm.
Generally in a company, there are some people in HR that came out of psychology or sociology or anthropology, all the
Yeah.
ologies. They
Yeah.
didn't want to get into business.
Mm.
Take away the
Mm.
fear. It's probably 20 words. So if
Mm.
you're an HR person, you're a little scared of business. By the way, my background, my undergraduate degree for most of my training was in English.
Mm.
I read novels and got a degree. I was not fluent in the language of business.
Mm.
So here's a hint. Go get your company's annual report. Go listen and get a copy if you can of what the executives talk about in their
Yeah.
income statement, their balance sheet.
Yeah.
Go to somebody in finance. The joke I like to make is take a finance person to lunch. They may
Yeah.
be lonely and you can buy them lunch, and then go through the
Yeah.
income statement. What
Yeah.
does this mean? What does this mean? Listen to your
Mm.
executives in their presentations when they use a number. We're looking at our EBITDA. We're looking
Mm.
at our discounted cost of capital. Write down that word. Then go
Mm.
say, what does it mean? My
Mm. Mm.
experience is it's about 20 words. Replace
Yeah.
the fear with confidence. If you can't learn 20 words, then it's a more serious problem.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Uh,
because you should be able to learn 20 words.
Absolutely.
I did that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
ended up doing consulting and I was teaching in our executive programs at the University of Michigan. And my partner that I traveled with was the finance person. He taught finance. And so he was finance, I was organization. And we'd sit on an airplane and I'd take out the report and I'd
Mm.
say, what does this mean? What does that
Mm.
mean? And
Mm.
he said, this is basic finance. And I said, I want to just speak the language of business to get by, but I
Mm.
need to be able to know it. So I just encourage those who are afraid of the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
take out a sheet of paper and say, here's the 20 words I've got to learn and
Mm-hmm.
memorize them. It's not hard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant insight and perspective there. I totally agree with you. And across various function, I think that applies to marketing as well, right? Because
I was going to
uh,
say the same thing. You're in
yeah,
marketing. There's
yeah,
what does segmentation mean? What does customer
yeah,
share means? I
yeah,
mean, there's
absolutely.
20 words in marketing. If you get the
Yeah,
basics of that, you
yeah,
don't have to be by the way, you don't have to be the expert in marketing. Like you are a marketing expert. You know 20 words plus another 20. I don't need to have that fluency, but I need to be able to
yeah,
get by. And I
yeah.
think that's what we feel in the HR space. So thank you for raising that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's now zoom out a bit, right? And let's now move to global mindset and cross-cultural readiness as a section, right? So we are no longer operating in local silos, right? If you look at the ecosystem, HR today must think across borders, across cultures and mindset, especially if you're talking about large scales MNCs or conglomerates. According to you, why is global exposure critical now? Not just as a badge, but as a functional HR muscle.
Um, Let me tell two quick stories. Eddie the
Sure.
Eagle and the Jamaican bobsled team.
Okay.
Eddie was
Interesting.
a skier in the UK and
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to go to the Olympics. And so he
Mm-hmm.
decided to do ski jumping. He's the best ski jumper in the UK because there aren't very many. And he got to go to the Olympics. and he lost everything because the Olympics have a global standard for ski jumping. The Jamaican bobsled team, I mean, think about the paradox. Jamaica, there's no bobsled teams, but they wanted to go to the Olympics, so they became the bobsled team, and they went to the Olympics and lost every game. The world we live in today has local characters. I mean, in
Yeah.
Jamaica, you're the best bobsledders. In England, you're the best skier. In India, you're the best at what you do in India.
Yeah.
But because of technology, the boundaries of the world, information flows rapidly. This is a great example. You're in your office, and
Yeah.
what city are you in?
I'm based out of Delhi.
Wonderful. I'm in the United States in my home office,
Uh-huh.
and it's invisible. The border of a company of a idea is no longer geographic. It's not in India. In fact,
Yes.
many of the great ideas that Dr. T.V. Rao and others at NHRD have done, India is a source of brilliant ideas. I'm on internet a lot. I like LinkedIn, and I hope people who listen will follow me and comment. One of the reasons I like it is it's global. I start looking at comments. Where are they from? They're from India. They're from Sri Lanka. They're from countries I will probably not be able to visit, like Iran and Iraq. But the
Yeah.
ideas are powerful, and I think that's what global is today. We live in a global world because the ideas move across boundaries so quickly, and our competition is not the best bobsledder in Jamaica or snow jumper or ski jumper in England.
Yeah.
It's global, and the good
Yeah.
news is that the technology creates a global parity. Everybody can access that same information
Yeah.
as quickly as anybody else can.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, that's not a differentiator. Let me say,
Yeah.
and I've got to
Yeah.
mention AI is the global idea. I
Yeah.
was in a company recently and they did manufacturing plants, and they had manufacturing plants all over the world, 40 or 50.
Okay.
And they wanted to say, what are the skills of a good manufacturing plant manager? And they went to Chat GPT. We need to go to AI. And it said, here's the 7 skills. And they said, Dave, we're going to go train these skills. And I
Okay.
said, slow down, slow down. How many of your competitors have done the same thing? All of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember, competitiveness is differentiating. Every
Yeah.
competitor has done the same thing. They've got the same
Yeah.
7 skills. And it could
Yeah.
be a plant headquartered in India, it could be from Brazil, it could be from Sri Lanka. They're all
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Your success is building the next 3 that are not on that list, because that's where you're going to differentiate. That for me is the global agenda. We've got to play in a global space, and then we differentiate about what's unique in our space. And
Yeah.
that becomes for me one of the real important parts of AI is artificial intelligence times authentic intimacy, another AI. That we have the ideas that will separate us from somebody else. So this company said, as soon as I said it, they go, that's obvious.
Yeah.
Well, what are our unique manager skills in our manufacturing plants? And that's what
Yeah.
they then tried to do.
Fascinating. What a perspective. And that takes me to what Michael Porter also had to say about a lot of organizations, right? Either you lead with cost leadership or you have differentiation, right? And with everyone sort of going behind AI, at the end of the day, I think at some point in time it would start to recycle stuff, right? Although there are a lot of LLM models behind it, but I think somewhere down the line, I do feel that one has to sort of sit together and look at their people from an entirely different lens, because that's something which is actually different from what an organization can achieve or can do compared to their competitive set. Awesome.
Well, let me talk about that because I think it's so
Yeah.
important. AI is getting so much attention.
Yeah.
And I'll tell a story that captures that and what I hope we can
Okay.
do to reinforce it. Our
Sure.
daughter was a professor of sociology.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, when ChatGPT and OpenAI came out, she called me and she said, Dad, I'm out of work as a professor. I said, why? She said, nobody's going to do a paper again. They don't need to come to class. They're going to go on
Yeah. Yeah.
ChatGPT and it's going to write their
Yeah.
paper. And I
Yeah.
said, that can't be true. So I got on ChatGPT and I
Yeah.
said, write a 300 or 200 word essay on the future of HR.
Okay.
Boom. 30 seconds later, I called my daughter and I said, sweetheart, I'm out of work. Because that's a very good essay. And she said, what are we going
Yeah.
to do? She quit and went to law school. And then I read it again.
Okay.
This is what we've discovered. And you said it. That's why it triggered me, Pulakit. It's such
Yeah.
a great insight. All large language models do is summarize the past.
Yeah.
by definition.
Yeah.
Their data
Yeah.
set is everything that's been done on the internet, which I have no clue how they do this. Unbelievable. And they
Yeah.
can synthesize that.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
yet create a future.
Yeah.
They can predict
Yeah.
something, but they don't know the future. We can't predict next year's profitability. We can only
Yes.
summarize what's happened. So our
Yes.
daughter, she's pretty smart. She made people turn in 2 papers. I want you to
Okay.
study the impact of marriage rates in India, and I
Mm-hmm.
want you to turn, that's a sociology question, and I want you to turn in the AI paper and your paper. And if your paper
Okay.
doesn't build on the AI paper, you have failed. AI is an incredible enabler and
Absolutely.
summarizer and synthesizer of the past. That's those
Yeah.
7 competencies for leadership, but
Yeah.
it's not yet a creator of the future. That's where that authentic human
Yeah.
intelligence becomes so
Yeah.
critical. And
Yeah.
um, and so I get excited about that, and that's why those inflection points. When, number one, when we think of HR, we don't think about what we do; it's the value it creates for a customer, an investor. That's new. Through
Yeah.
talent, organization, and leadership, that's new. And then
Yeah.
upgrading HR so that they can play in that space.
Yeah.
That's for me, and I get excited. That's what keeps me alive. It keeps my energy going, um, and gives me passion for creating real value.
So happy to see this coming from you, because even in advertising, right, we all believe the same, right? It's not the end of advertising, right? There's no limit to creativity, right? What we can achieve together. I'm just trying to draw parallels, between what you said and how marketing is also shaping
I
up as
love
a
I
function.
love marketing. Let me give an example.
Sure.
I'm going to get you off script. We're going to learn here. I
Not
love
a
that
problem,
because
please. Yeah.
the fun part of marketing is the differentiation. Well,
Yeah.
how does my cup of coffee differ from someone else's? And
Very true.
honestly, they're much the same. So how does Starbucks differ from another coffee shop? The
Yeah.
other part of marketing that's exciting, and it's back to that first inflection point called outside in. We go to
Hmm.
marketing, and you, a marketer, create a great brand identity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, CHRO mindset. You're building an identity for the podcast, for the company. You're building an identity for what you want to have, and how HR1 builds their identity in the marketplace, a brand.
Yeah.
Well, here's the next reality. If that outside brand doesn't translate to internal behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
let me say that again. If the outside brand doesn't translate to internal behaviors, there's going to be skepticism. There's going to be hypocrisy. There's going to be failure.
Yes.
Walmart, a US store, and I don't know if they're
Yeah.
in India or not, they're trying to sell on low price.
Yep.
Other stores are going to sell on high quality. Well,
Yep.
that's the brand that gets people to pick one company over another.
Very true.
When that external brand becomes your internal culture,
Yeah.
let me say that again. I talk
Yeah.
talent, organization, and leadership. When that
Yeah.
external brand becomes your internal culture, you succeed.
Yeah.
When it
Yeah.
becomes the criteria for hiring, you succeed.
Yeah.
When it becomes
Yeah.
the standard for leadership, you succeed. So, our book,
Yeah.
Leadership Brand, the
Yeah.
outside identity becomes the internal set of competencies.
Hmm. 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 Brilliant take again. Yeah. And in fact, I once read a book called as Fusion, right? And that was all about integrating brand and culture powers, and how large companies do it. I think it
So, so
was. Yeah. Sorry. Go
I'll
ahead,
give an
please. Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
I
Please.
work closely with a professor. I won't name his name. He without him know, but he has
Sure.
won
Sure.
all kinds of advertising awards. He's the top
Okay.
advertiser for the Super Bowl, for the major awards in the United States. And he and I put together an idea. You're going to spend 10 million, whatever currency, euros, rupees,
Yeah.
dollars, on a brand and a promotion. You should spend 5 to 10% on internal leadership training. So if you
Mm-hmm.
spend 10 million on an outside identity, you should be spending 500,000 to a million on the internal leadership training, because otherwise you're going to be
Yeah.
promising customers A, B, and C, and your
Yeah.
leaders will
Yeah.
be delivering X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
We've tried to
Yeah.
get advertising companies to do that. They haven't yet got there,
Yeah.
because that's a step a little bit too far. But
Yeah.
it's, to me, it's such a critical piece
Yeah.
that outside in view that you do in marketing. You come out of marketing, you've got years and years and years of marketing experience. You create something in the marketplace that causes a
Yeah.
customer to buy. Take
Yeah.
that same logic
Yeah.
and make it the employee to stay.
Yeah.
And when the employee and customer are organized around the same logic, then magic happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think at the end of the day, it all boils down to authenticity, right? And how sort of culture drives it across organizations, which right, so let's pivot back. Let's come back to the GHRLE program, uh, uh, and we spoke about so many examples, in your family where people have been. Taking degrees, focusing on subjects like sociology, uh, uh, trying to imbibe newer methodologies that talk about AI and whatnot, right? So, talking of GHRLE, please walk us through about how cross-cultural leadership learning, uh, can be learned at a GHRLE program compared to a traditional classroom program. How are they different essentially?
Great question. The first word of GHRLE is global. So
Yeah.
we have an identity that through technology, ideas are global. TV Rao, Arthur Young in China
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Europe, Latin America, the Mid East, the Far East. We want to truly define global
Hmm.
human resource. What's new? What's new? And in fact, how do you begin to build this HR agenda? And again, I'm going to come back to the same message. We've defined the human in human resource, not just as the employee. Who's the human in human resource? It's every human being who touches the company.
Yeah.
Our company is at HR1, you're touched by hundreds of customers. They're human beings. You're touched by
Yeah.
investors in Singapore and elsewhere. They're human beings. So, global, human, every stakeholder, it's a resource that we can grow, we can expand. It's not limited. Leadership, we've got to provide what's next, and it's an experience.
Mm.
Global human resource leadership experience. And we
Mm.
want you to come if you're interested in making a difference in business and stakeholder value. And we're going to give you exercises that make this real. We're going to do a
Mm.
360 so you learn your personal strengths and weaknesses and how to be a more effective leader. We're going to do an organizational guidance audit. Where
Mm.
should my organization invest to get the stakeholder value I desire? So
Mm.
you're going to come
Mm.
having done an audit, you're going to have a project, you're going to have a personal development plan, you're going to have an 8-day in learning experience, it's a 100-day total, and you're going to have a coach who will meet with
Yeah.
you and
Yeah.
say, what can we do better? And most of all, you're going to be part of a cohort group. We're
Yeah.
going to do this the first round, the end of October and November in the US. We'd love for you to come, and you're going to then be part of a cohort of people who share your interests from around the world. We plan
Yeah.
to do 1 to 3 of these every year for the next few years, as long as I have the energy, and then it'll transfer to a new generation who will do
Yeah.
it even better than me. And
Oh.
um, and so it's so exciting
Yeah.
to recognize we want to build the next generation of human resource leaders.
Awesome. Another fascinating take, and I don't think I've ever heard about any program similar to this, where we are trying to integrate a lived experience with leadership development, which I believe is the current lacuna in traditional methodologies or traditional courses that we see across the globe.
Well,
Uh,
one of the things that's interesting, you go to a lot of programs and they give you a case study. So let
yeah.
me learn a lot about Tata. Well, I'm
Okay.
not at Tata. Let me learn a lot about Hindustan Unilever. I'm not at Hindustan Unilever. Our
Yeah.
view is learn a lot about your company. And I should just say, I know a primary audience for you is India.
Mm.
We're influenced, I am influenced by C.K. Prahalad. I
Absolutely.
hope
Yeah.
your listeners know the
Uh,
name. When I went to the University of Michigan as a brand new faculty,
yeah.
quick story, I got invited at a fluke to join in a faculty of 5 headed by CK to teach
Okay.
executives. CK sat
Interesting.
down with me and he said, Dave, you're going to teach organization, leadership, HR stuff. What's your point of view? And I said, CK, here's my research. And he said, that's not what I asked. What's your point of view? I didn't have one. And he just turned nice and said,
Mm.
welcome. And I knew he was upset. About a year and a
Okay.
half later, I said, CK, sit down. Here's my point of view on
Uh-huh.
human capability. Today, you've heard my point of view. And he said, I disagree. And I said, no,
Uh-huh.
you're wrong. And we argued for 20 or 30
Uh-huh.
minutes. And
Uh,
I get emotional here. He stood up, he put his arm around me,
uh-huh.
and he said, welcome to the team. You've got a point of
Awesome.
view.
Awesome. Well,
He was my mentor. He was my guide. And in that program, we now have Ram Charan. And I could tell the same story about Ram. one of the great
Yeah.
thinkers of our time.
Yeah.
And I have such deep respect for him. And now TV Rao,
Yeah.
who founded NHRD. I mean,
Yeah.
these are men, and there's women as well, that have shaped the global HR world and the global business world. And it's such a privilege to bring their ideas in. CK won't be there in person, obviously, but to
Yeah.
bring their ideas, he's passed away, but to bring their
Yeah.
ideas into our audience. So we are excited to make this happen.
Awesome, awesome. Some awesome names, some legendary names out there, including yourself. And I agree, with what you said. Thank you so much. Let me now, go back to global impact, right, as the key word. So, question for you: why do many succession plans fail to prepare HR leaders for global impact? From the sidelines, I've come across case studies where while they are extremely good at regional nuances or scaling up organizations at a regional level, but when it comes to really pushing the pedal and moving across countries, things don't work out. So what's your take? How do they fix
I
that?
think it's going to not just be global impact, it's going to be the succession logic. So you go to
Okay.
someone in a company and you say, who are your backup candidates? ABC. Who are your
Hmm.
backup candidates? ABC.
Hmm.
Somebody should say to you, you asked the wrong question. The first question should not be, who are your backup candidates? It should be, what are the requirements of this position in the
Okay.
next 1, 3, and 5 years? So instead of looking at candidates, look at requirements. Because without those requirements clear, you don't know which candidate's going to be the best fit. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? A requirement that we talked about in almost every industry today is global.
Mm.
You can't build cars in China or India. Tata is global. Hindustan Unilever, they're global by definition.
Yeah.
HSBC has operations around the world. They have operations in India. How am I thinking globally? That's a requirement of every position. And
Yeah.
so once I lay out those requirements, then I can say candidate A, B, and C against global perspective, against
Hmm.
agility, against the ability to build service, against the ability to deliver predictable financial results, against the ability to change a culture. Now I have a set of criteria, but globalization is one of the dominant criteria that
Hmm.
is a requirement of any future job.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think in HR we don't think that through as carefully as we should, starting from the outside, the requirements before we get to the candidates.
Hmm. Awesome. Very profound, I must say. Thank you for that. Now, let's segue into our next section, which is around leadership capabilities and capability building. So, this is this might seem like a very simple question, but I think there is a lot of depth in this question. Should we stop developing HR leaders and start developing leaders who understand HR?
Yes to both. Well, yes, we should develop HR leaders, and yes, we should develop leaders who understand HR.
Okay. Okay.
I do it when I taught it students, and I haven't taught degree students, and I had a final exam. It was one of my favorite multiple choice exams.
Yeah.
Who has primary accountability and responsibility for the human capability, talent, leadership, organization issues within a
Mm.
company?
Hmm.
A, line manager, B, head of HR, C, it's shared, D, the consultant, or E, I don't care, I'm going into finance, which was always a clever answer.
Okay.
And everybody would mark C, it's shared. And I marked it wrong. Who has primary accountability and responsibility? I think it's A, the line manager. Our
Very
job
true.
in HR is to be a partner. We're co-equal, but in the end of the day, the business leader, whoever she or he is, from CEO all the way through the enterprise, they have primary accountability. We
Mm.
facilitate, we design, we architect, we work with them, we challenge them as a good partner will do, but we
Yeah.
have clarity about that responsibility. And so I
Hmm.
think in HR, we develop our skills to be leaders, but also to
Hmm.
be partners to begin to help
Hmm.
make that happen with the leaders we work with. I've been in
Okay.
some cases where some folks are advocating lately, HR should be in charge. HR should be in charge. And so I
Yeah.
quietly say to them, have you taken that to the CEO that you're
Yeah.
going to be in charge of running the company?
Yeah.
I think many
Yeah.
CEOs would say, I think that's my job.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate your input with courage, with candor, with directness, with challenging. But at the end of
Yeah.
the day, and I'm sure this would be true in India as well, but the buck stops here. The ultimate accountability sits with the CEO.
Yeah, very true. And that although we spoke of Intel, right? So reminds me of this awesome analogy that I'm now able to draw with what late Andy Grove had to say in his book High Output Management. I think uh, he also goes by saying that the job of the manager is only two things. One is to motivate, and the second is to upskill, right? Uh, right so I think that's the direction that you are also sort of trying to take here by guiding me. Awesome. Now and I'm a book lover, by the way, right? And since we spoke of Ram Charan as well, right? He had this great book, High Potential Leaders, right? How to sort of incubate them, how to motivate them. And my next question is around high potential HR leaders, right? So, uh, across organizations, I've seen a lot of high potential HR leaders, but not all of them end up becoming high impact ones, right? So, what hinders them from becoming a high impact HR leader? Your view on this, please.
I think high impact begins with the outcomes we care about. It begins with
Yeah.
the outcomes we care about. And
Yes. Yes.
and in my mind, the outcome is not the HR practice or the HR activity. I mean, the old example that's still very good is we used to measure success. What percent of your leaders got 40 hours of training?
Hmm.
That's a pretty clear measure. Did I go to 40 hours of training? Did I go to 4 weeks or 3 weeks or 5 weeks of training? I think that's not a very relevant measure.
Yeah.
Did the training cause a customer to buy your product? Did it cause your profit to go up next year? Did it cause your
Hmm.
investor to have more confidence in your future, your community reputation?
Yeah.
I think the achievement is in the measure is the outcomes, not just the activity. And now you got to do the activities to get to the outcomes because you could cheat and
Yeah.
make financial
Yeah.
goals. So you've got to
Yeah.
measure both and we did this in leadership. We created a formula called your attributes, your characteristics times your outcomes equals
Hmm.
effective leadership. And you've got to get outcomes, but you've got to get them in the right way.
Hmm.
And that's kind of high potential.
Hmm.
Achievement and accomplishing results is clearly part of high potential because
Hmm.
if you have all the skills in the world but you don't achieve outcomes, that's not going to
Hmm.
be successful
Yeah.
in a tough marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So outcomes over activities. That's the mantra. Uh,
I would argue outcomes times activities because if you
outcomes
fail
time.
in either,
Yeah.
you fail in both, and
Yeah.
you fail in both.
Okay. Interesting. Now let's look at the mindset of a CHRO, and that actually that's the podcast name as well, right? So uh, across all the CHROs that you have coached, you have spoken to, what do you think is the most overlooked mindset that separates the exceptional ones from the average ones?
It's hard to pick one thing. I will pick two. One
Okay.
is a reinforcement of what we've said. My job as CHRO, or the job of any leader, is to help you get better. The value
Mm-hmm.
is defined by the receiver, not the giver. One of my tests of leadership, not just CHROs, but leaders, how often does someone leave an interaction with you feeling
Mm-hmm.
better or worse about themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Leaders help people feel better in good times and in bad.
Yeah.
And so that's the first one is I'm here to create value for somebody else. And it could be the CEO who you work with, it could be the employees, it could be the board, it could be a customer.
Yeah.
Am I creating value for others through the work I do? And second is courage.
Mm.
I've been listening as we've been designing this GHRLE program.
Yeah.
What are people telling me that HR people sometimes lack? And courage is the willingness to speak up and at
Mm-hmm.
times to be quiet. If you speak up when you should have been quiet, you may get in trouble. But
Yeah.
having the courage
Yeah.
to take bold decisions. And we
Yeah.
gave an example. I have courage to go learn finance when I don't have a finance degree.
Yeah.
I have courage to leave my marketing job and go into an SAS company.
Yeah.
That's a hypothetical. Even when
Yeah.
I don't have an SAS background, I have the courage to take a leap of faith. That's you.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
courage becomes so critical because it allows us to do the things that push us outside our comfort zones in a thoughtful way.
Interesting. So yeah, I think it's about taking a stand, right? That's the second part that a lot of CHROs sort of need to work on. And interestingly, right, we have an event coming up tomorrow, right? And that happens to be the central theme of that event as well. It's a curated event that we are doing for HR leaders, and the theme is HR with a spine: truth, trust, and taking a stand for HRs who have stayed silent too long. It's about reclaiming their voice, not just the function. So uh, uh, glad that sort of resonates with your philosophy and principle. Yeah,
It's getting
yeah,
there. In fact, I'm on
yeah,
LinkedIn quite a bit, and
yeah.
somebody said, "Oh, we have to do this. It's brand new." In 1998, I wrote an article with Bob Eichinger called "HR with an Attitude," and
Okay,
uh,
interesting.
and it's the same idea. 1998, so it's 25 years old.
27. Yeah, yeah,
27
yeah,
years old. We've
yeah,
got to have an attitude. We've got to have
yeah,
an aggressive. And then we talked about HR's leaders, HR's players. The theme has been around, and it's
yeah,
getting recycled a little bit. But we need to
yeah,
be willing to take a stand
yeah,
in ways that help the business leader succeed. The
yeah,
stand is not
yeah,
about compliance; it's about
yeah,
competitiveness.
yeah,
It's about
yeah,
helping my company succeed in a marketplace. That's the
yeah.
stand we could and should be taking.
Awesome, awesome. So let's now talk about architecting a culture, right? So, in your opinion, what does it mean to architect culture, not just manage it? And so that's the first part of the question. And second is, how do we build that capability?
I love studying culture. I'm going to go back
Mm,
to the three things I've been talking about. And I use hand motions. My fingers represent talent. My
mm-hmm,
fist represents organization. Leadership is a combination. Which matters more, talent or culture? Talent or culture?
mm,
And our
mm,
research shows definitely culture.
mm.
People play a game, teams win a game. And in winning a
Amazing.
game, you've got to build a culture. You've got to get people to work together, to come together. Slapping with an open fist is not as powerful as a fist. That's a bad example. But the
Yeah,
fist, the culture. And
yeah,
it's not a new topic. It's been studied for decades with anthropologists who go to a society. In organizations, most people, I love to ask people, when you think of a culture, what comes to mind?
mm-hmm,
Our values, our norms, our unwritten rules, how we
mm,
get things done, how we work
yeah,
with each other.
yeah,
And I say that's all true. And it's all from the inside out. It's who
yeah,
we are.
yeah,
You're in marketing. I'm now going to build on your ideas. I believe culture starts with the identity of the firm
yeah,
in the mind of your key customers.
mm-hmm,
What do we want to be known for at HR1 by our key
mm-hmm,
customers who
mm-hmm,
might choose us over another vendor? What's that identity in the marketplace? Is it innovation? Is it service? Is it cost? What is the identity we're known for in the marketplace?
yeah,
Made
yeah,
real to every employee.
yeah,
So for me, cultural architecture begins outside in. That theme that we played with all day today,
yeah,
all through the podcast. How do I build an external value and
yeah,
translate it into internal actions? And so when I work with business leaders, and I spend about half of my time with business, not
yeah,
HR leaders,
yeah,
they say, "Oh, Dave's going to talk about culture." And I see people going, "Oh, good, here we go. Bring a pet to work, Friday off, casual Thursday."
yeah,
And I go, "No, let me ask you three. Go to your best customer and ask them three questions. Number one, are these the values you want us to have?" Almost
mm-hmm,
every company's got a set of values: service, integrity,
yeah,
collaboration, quality, cost. And the customer says, "Yeah, those are good values." Question two, you, the customer, define the behaviors you need to see.
mm-hmm,
What does service mean to you? What does innovation mean to you? What does quality mean to you?
mm,
You
mm,
tell us the behaviors that you need to see.
mm-hmm,
Are these the values you want? What are the behaviors? Number three, when we do those behaviors, will you buy
mm-hmm,
more from us?
mm,
And at that
mm,
point, the executives go, hold it. You mean culture is not just a statement you put on the wall and an
yeah,
inspiration? No.
yeah,
If you won't buy more from us when we do the values you've espoused, we don't have
yeah,
the right culture.
yeah,
And suddenly they're going, you mean there's value in values? Of course there's value in values. That's why we have them.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
value is not that we have them, it's that they will help you get better.
Absolutely. Yeah, awesome. Again, a very profound statement there. Value in values. I think lots of folks miss out on that. Yeah, so brilliant take there again. Let's now segue into our last section, which is around legacy, influence, and CHR of the future, right? There are plenty of articles out there how XYZ would look like in 2030, right? So this question might seem a little cliched to you, but I'll still take the risk of asking this. So in your opinion, from your vantage point, what does legacy look like for an HR leader in 2030 or 2040 or 50? Your take on this, please.
It's really interesting. One of the godfathers of our field of management was Peter Drucker.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm old enough that I heard him speak when he was old.
Awesome.
And he said, the best management ever was the pyramids in Egypt. They had no technology, and they built these. If you've ever seen the pyramids, they're just, see pictures. How did they do that thousands of years ago? They had a goal, they had a vision, they had a purpose. It was inspirational. They put resources together. My message from listening to that is some principles are timeless. Some principles are timeless. They will endure. The principles of leadership. You've got to set a direction. You've got to get things done. You've got to engage people. You've got to build the next generation. You've got to take care of yourself. The principles of being a good HR leader are timeless. You've got to accelerate business results. You've got to advance human capability. You've got to mobilize commitment. You've got to keep things simple. You've got to make others better. I think the timeless principles exist. We've studied HR competencies for 35 years.
Yeah.
The timeless domains are the same: business, change, HR practices, personal integrity. They're timeless domains. The practices may vary. 10 years ago, nobody would have thought about ChatGPT. 10 years ago, people may not have thought about the crisis management that we're into today. I think practices will change in ways I probably can't predict, but I think the principles will be much the same.
Very true. Yeah. Fundamentals don't change, as they say. In fact, that if I were to allude to that paper that you wrote in 1998, right? 27 years have gone by.
HR with an attitude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, awesome. So now, if I were to,
I just looked it up today, by the way. Somebody was saying the new thing for HR is we have to have courage, we have to be bold, and I went, I think we said that 27 years ago, 28 years ago. So I looked it up and read through it, and I thought, wow. Now we said it in a different way, but it's still those fundamental principles will hold, and the practices will change. Get ready. But anyway.
Yeah. No, applies to marketing as well, right? The great Theodore Levitt, even he had to say the same thing. Marketing myopia, as they say, right? Sell the outcomes, not the product. But again, it's very difficult for organizations to do that. So I keep coming up with these analogies from the marketing world.
I love the marketing. I've been around Phil Kotler, Kotler was one of the geniuses of marketing, and
absolutely.
We love his ideas. We love his ideas.
Yeah. Okay, so if I were to sort of split the role of a CHRO into three buckets, right? A coach, a founder, or a futurist, right? How would you look at this? Would it be a Venn diagram where the CHRO sits in the middle, or will it be an overlap?
I got two of them. I got coach and futurist. What was the third bucket?
A founder.
A founder. I would probably have four buckets with different titles. What does the CHRO need to know and be able and to deliver value? One bucket would be business. That's founder. You've got to know the business. You've got to know the business. Absolutely. A second bucket would be HR tools. There are tools in HR: staffing, training, development. You've had over the last few years in this podcast you've done with CHRO Mindset, you've had people come on and share great tools.
Yeah.
So business, HR tools. A third bucket would be change, the organizational development field, the field of change. How do you adapt? How do you grow? And the fourth bucket for me would be information. That's the AI and technology bucket. At the intersection of business, HR, change, and technology or information sits a CHRO who does all the things you say. What is it they contribute? They create value by coaching, designing, facilitating. But those would be the four buckets I would probably look at that are relatively timeless.
Awesome. And I'm pretty sure that all of these would be dealt in detail in the GHRLE program.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. In fact, we're going to bring the best thinkers in the world. Business. Ram
Yeah.
Charan's going to talk about business strategy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I could, I'd have CK. If CK could come back and talk about it, we
Oh,
would.
yeah.
We're going to talk
Yeah.
about change, and we've got companies probably we have 6 CHROs coming who have
Yeah.
helped facilitate change in the biggest
Yeah.
companies in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to talk about technology. We have some of the leading, especially in HR. We have the head of HR at IBM who's building new technology and how she's using
Interesting.
technology to move her business forward. We're
Interesting.
going to go deep into the HR tools. We have Rob Ployhart, who's one of the leading scholars in recruiting, going through the research on talent, staffing, training. So we're going to manage those buckets with both theory and practice.
Awesome, awesome. So many reasons to believe why one should really hop on onto this program, and I'm hoping this mission comes out to be a resounding success, and it will. From what you just said. So awesome take again there. Uh, I know I don't have too many questions left, but still, I want to get your take on, and there might have been millions of such moments, right, that you would have gone through, but any moment that changed how you saw HR, not as a function, but as a force for enterprise transformation. Maybe this would have been
Yeah,
your
it's
starting
not
years.
just yeah,
Yeah.
not just um, but a lot of stories come to mind, but I'll share one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Please.
Friday, and I'm meeting with the business team in Chicago, the United States, and we're going to go from 8 to noon on leadership and change and organization. This was some years ago. At 9 o'clock, an investor went from owning 4.5% of their stock to I think 15 to 20. It was a takeover, and they were
Okay.
trying to buy their stock and take over the company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm talking about set a vision, mobilize commitment, manage your people. Their phones all rang at the same time and said to the top team, we are all at risk of losing the company. We're at risk of our jobs. And they looked at me and said, Dave, your topics are not as relevant right now. How do we handle this?
Mm-hmm.
And they threw me out. And I went home that weekend and went into the research. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
what does the research say? What does the research say?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't find anything. The
Mm-hmm.
academic research didn't have an answer to the current business problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to them, let me come back on Tuesday and let
Okay.
me spend the next 48 hours creating a solution to walk you through this problem. I
Mm-hmm.
worked with that company through that problem. For
Mm-hmm.
me, that's the space I love living in. It's the
Mm-hmm.
future. It's a problem we don't. Now, today, there's a lot of research on how do you manage takeovers, how do you do it, but decades
Yeah.
ago, there wasn't. I
Yeah.
love being in a space where people say, this is technology. How do we manage AI? Jump
Yeah.
into it. We don't have a solution. There's not a best
Yeah.
practice. I
Yeah.
submitted an article to a leading journal, and I won't name the journal, and they
Okay.
said, give us 5 best practices. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
if I have old news, I'll send you the article.
Mm-hmm.
I want new news. I want to go
Mm-hmm.
shape what's there. And for
Mm.
me, that's the CK story. That's that story. It's
Okay.
always being focused on how do I observe the problems that people don't have answers to?
Yeah.
And then trying to figure out what's a way to solve that that may not have been
Mm.
done before. To me,
Mm.
that's not AI can't do that.
Mm.
The human
Mm.
intelligence, wisdom, creativity does. And to me, that's what
Mm.
keeps me going.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Yeah.
this because it has meaning for me. I'm
Yeah.
doing the work I'm doing at
Yeah.
my age. I'm obviously much older.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love
Yeah.
creating ideas that will have
Yeah.
impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for you, it's through marketing. Through me, it's through human capability.
Yeah.
And but that's the passion that I hope
Yeah.
HR
Yeah.
professionals can build
Yeah.
among the whole cadre
Yeah.
of employees. And
Yeah.
when you've got that, and you called it a
Yeah.
movement, it's a great metaphor. The
Yeah.
movement's there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it outlasts the individual. And I have leaders on my
Yes.
wall. I have Martin Luther King. I have Sheikh Zayed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have my father and my
Awesome.
wife. These are people who've modeled for me the things
Yeah.
that give me passion as well. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful that you've got it. I can see it in what you do. Uh, and I hope those listening have their passion and their purpose.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not trying to sort of self promote ourselves too much, but we've also been working on a lot of playbooks, right? And none of them have to do anything with what HR1 does, right? So you'll see a bunch of those at the back, right? So we're trying to sort of publish all this stuff and make life easy for HRs, and also make sure that the future looks bright for them, right? They can be ready for what lies ahead of them, and not just react to what's coming their way, but to actually predict and take wiser moves. So yeah, absolutely. So, and since we talked of purpose, Dave, right? Let's fast forward and for a moment imagine we are in 2035. Okay, we have grown a little more, right? I've gotten few more wrinkles and gray hair. But if we were again talking in 2035, what would make you feel GHRLE truly achieved its purpose?
One of the data points, and I love data. I mean, my undergraduate degree was English. My PhD is in statistics, basically.
Awesome.
I think we are seeing right now that a lot of CHRO jobs are being open
Mm-hmm.
and not being replaced from the inside because the CEO is saying, I need HR who can do the things that we've just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing that in the next, as much as I'd like, in the next pool of candidates.
Hmm.
We would love, with Pat Wright and Dick Beatty and others in this program, to have a
Hmm.
huge pool of candidates who are
Hmm.
ready to move into the next level of HR value.
Hmm.
That's where we're headed.
Hmm. Interesting. Awesome. And I'm 110% sure, that's going to happen, especially with stalwarts like you, who are the driving force behind this. With that, we come to the end of this amazing conversation. Uh, it's been an honor having you, right? Really, thank you for your time, sharing your wisdom, sharing all the stories, and bringing in so much clarity into how CHROs must operate. And it's not every day that we get to speak to stalwarts like you. In fact, I did tell a few HR leaders, over calls, that we are going to be hosting you on this podcast. So all of them had to say OMG, right? And a few were kind enough to send me over some questions, which I tried to include. But yeah, it's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so very much for taking out time, 7 a.m. your time, right, to speak to someone you don't know, right, who approached you on LinkedIn. So it's been amazing. It's been an honor, and again, gratitude from each one of us here at HR 1300 of us for you coming over and talking to us.
Thank you. I'm honored. I hope you'll join me on LinkedIn. That's the platform that I find connects us around the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my team has been following you. We all follow you, and like all HRs out there, right? We continue to look at your perspectives, your unique point of views on how HR is evolving. Because somewhere down the line, if even anything on HR tech that you write, I make sure that I do add that to my bookmark list. And whenever I get time, I do read that. So thank you so very much for publishing such awesome content that we all can learn and read from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks once again. It's been an absolute honor. To all our listeners, if today's conversation made you pause, rethink, or reimagine your role as an HR leader, I think we have met the objective. And like Dave said, right, it has to be inside out, right? So it's time that you start to sort of make sure that you become more curious at what you do, because at the end of the day, growth starts with curiosity. And if you are seeking deeper leadership development programs like GHRLE, championed by Professor Ulrich, please go ahead and enroll. Thanks once again, Professor Ulrich. It's been an honor. And I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. Please do hit subscribe, share it with your tribe, and drop us a quick review on Spotify, YouTube, whatever you are listening on to. Until next time, keep showing up, speaking up, and leading with purpose.